I love my Tesla. I got it right during the pandemic. It's like going from a regular phone to an iPhone. Like once you're in an iPhone, like you just don't look back. I set a personal goal for myself for this year to get something launched, and I chose something that I'm really passionate about.
John, thank you so much for doing this interview with us. Congratulations on launching Teslativity. I'd love to introduce you to the community and our audience and allow you to introduce yourself. Want to tell us more about who you are and what your background is?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alim. I'm a product manager. I've been building software with teams for 10 plus years, all the way from large consultancies to startups. And I've always worked with really good designers and engineers, and always just had a really, really good time building software. I love how software can solve problems, but I've never been able to build it myself. And so I'm always at the kind of the beck and call of executives, and I'm always working and corralling with others to get stuff built. And I really wanted to build something myself. And so I set a personal goal for myself for this year to get something launched. And I chose something that I'm really passionate about, which I love automotive, and I love my Tesla. I got it right during the pandemic. And one of the best cars I've ever driven. It's like going from a regular phone to an iPhone. Like once you're in an iPhone, like you just don't look back. And I just had a really, really positive experience. The thing though is I was really surprised after I got it on how much my range dropped. It was advertised 300 miles more or 300 miles of range. It was also there was like a number of things about it, and I'm like, okay, well, once I got it, I was never hitting those numbers, and I never knew why. So I did a whole lot of research about what does it mean, and there's this concept called battery degradation. So battery will lose its efficacy over time. I'm like, okay, well, like, why does that happen? Is that normal? Is that good? Is that bad? Tesla has had some other issues around their energy estimates, the range estimates. Sometimes being overinflated, but not by much, and they've corrected it a little bit. But I wanted to know, like, what is a good battery? What is a good EV? And so I did my research behind that. I was also impacted by the supply-demand challenges in the market. So my vehicle was pretty expensive when I bought it, and then Tesla started dropping their prices. Then there's more Teslas available, and so the prices continue to go down. And I'm like, okay, well, how much is my car actually worth if I sold it? I was also sitting around playing poker with a few older folks, and one of the things, as I said, like one of the reasons they wouldn't buy a Tesla is because the depreciation's so bad. Absolutely. I'm like, all right, like how bad is it? And I realized like it's a pretty hot topic.
Oh, yeah.
You've
seen me get riled up about it too on coaching calls and other things. So yeah, it's sensitive for some people.
Yeah, and some people are like, I gotta sell my car because my depreciation's so bad. I'm like, well, no, just like enjoy your car. But if you're selling it, you really want to know like what is the right price for your car.
Right.
So the more research I was doing into degradation and depreciation of vehicles, I want to know what is the maximum amount I can get for my car. Well, it depends if I'm selling it to a private party, if I trade it in, like Tesla's got their own trade-in program where you can get an estimate. Mm-hmm. Or if you trade it into a dealer. And then also there's the condition that it's in, also the software that's running on it. Like if you have full self-driving, sometimes that's $8,000. At one point it might have been $15,000, $12,000. Now it's $8,000. Then they were selling it for $100 per month. I'm like, all right, well, how much value does that actually add? A number of people are selling their Teslas with wraps around their car to prevent paint damage. And so there's all these variables on like how do you price a car correctly.
Yeah.
And I started doing research into other companies that help do vehicle pricing. And so what I did is I started this program to build an app. But as part of this app, it had a number of technical challenges. I needed to get a bunch of data from my Tesla. Right. And so Tesla is like leading the way in open connectivity to their vehicles. So I had to apply to be part of Tesla's developer program. and you need to be a business. So I had to be incorporated as a business. I had to apply. They approved me as long as it's to the benefit of Tesla owners. So I'm like, yeah, of course. So
Was it pretty hard, or was it easy to get approved? Like after getting your business incorporated, what was that like?
there was enough hurdles where like it wasn't trivial.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So
But like
eventually,
if somebody's out there in the audience right now, and potentially even like, me, like if I wanted to build an app that uses the Tesla API, is it achievable?
yeah. I mean, anything's achievable if you set the goal and if you're determined enough.
For sure.
Like I was able to do it. I'm not super technical. I do have a business mind. I have a business degree. Like I've started companies before, so it wasn't all that new to me. But yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to do it, like you could do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Just wanted to understand if it was one of those things where it was like hardcore locked behind closed gates and you had to like, go behind the scenes. We used to work with Ticketmaster, and like that API was a nightmare to use. And sometimes working with these big companies, people get nervous around integrating with them, but it's nice to know that Tesla has a program that makes it, I wouldn't say easy, but not difficult for developers to jump in and start building apps for Teslas. And you've heard me say this too, but the niches, right? I don't think there is next to sports, I don't think there's a stickier and more passionate audience of people than Tesla owners. Like, I worked in sports and I built a bunch of apps for sports fans, and those people are very, very loyal and sticky. I think Tesla owners are very similar too. So I'm
Yeah,
excited about the niche that you're building in.
yeah. And Musk has kind of gone off like the deep end politically, and some people are very anti that, and I could totally see that. I look at Musk more of as an innovator.
Mm,
Like a modern day Howard Hughes, and it's just not to get excited about the bigger mission around sustainability
yeah,
and the product that just like speaks for itself. Sure, like some people might have like sub ideal um, experiences, but like those are fewer and far between,
for
right?
sure.
More often than not, you'll get people that are really excited about their car and really passionate. You'll also find there's like a lot of younger people like love Teslas. Like my daughter will like spot a Tesla anywhere, and like she's really young.
Oh yeah. And I
Yeah,
mean, ever since like Hertz got rid of a lot of their supply, like I see so many high school kids too, like parents buying them, $18,000 Model 3s with like 150K miles on them. And it's like, that's not like too bad, right? It's like any kid who's got a part-time job working at Cold Stone or like any, part-time place, like they can afford a $200 monthly payment. So like nowadays there's like more and more Teslas on the road.
it's
Um,
accessible.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
No, cool. Let's jump in a little bit more about the app, John. So like you had this idea earlier this year. You set a goal to like launch an app. I guess like my first question to you is like, why'd you want to launch an app? Like you sound like you have a successful career. Why dedicate so much time into building an app?
it was like a personal mission of mine. It's also passive income, and by building apps, I'm actually better in my career.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with the app stores with different tools. There's a lot of things around AI you can use, and so it really is a stepping stone and a differentiator for yourself in from a career perspective. So
Yeah. I say that a lot to the younger generation. It's like I built my first app when I was in high school, and like that changed my life forever. So like having an app in the store, all the tools and resources and like components that go into an app, just understanding how all those work, like it changes your life forever. Like once you build an app or even just like touch, the surface of building an app, anytime you use the computer or any app, you just know what's going on under the hood, and you appreciate it more, you understand it more, your way of thinking changes, and you approach not just computers, but like honestly life and just overall problem solving a lot differently.
yeah, and you can't emphasize the problem solving aspect enough. Like I call building the app my own Everest, and it's like you got to reach that next base camp. Like you got to do it, and it's a problem every day. But once you solve it, you're that much closer to reaching the peak.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So here, I'd love to get a demo of the app. Do you mind if I share my screen and kind of walk me through it? So I have the homepage pulled up. Tell me more about what a user needs to know when they download Teslativity for the first time.
Yeah, so a few things here, right? You're kind of brought into this carousel to instantly communicate value. Like, here's what you're going to get, and it takes a more than a few steps to really get the value out of the app. And so I really wanted to communicate the value like instantly. Like, that time to value metric is like so important. You're like,
For
listen,
sure.
you're about to endeavor on this journey of like connecting accounts. Like, it's gonna be worth it. And so this is why I put the metrics and insights like on the very, very front page. So from here, you're going to create an account, obviously, big blue button. I added continue with Google, continue with Apple, because for privacy reasons. And I've noticed a lot of people started, I'm in the iOS App Store, and so a lot of people just went with the continue with Apple, but you can create any username and password. And from here, you should be landing on the connect your Tesla account page. And not everyone that downloads the app has a Tesla. And this is very much a tool to help you buy and sell and monitor a vehicle that you have.
Oh, cool.
And so you'll notice if you don't own a Tesla, you can learn more. If you want to click that, we'll jump into that real quick. I'll show you a few things. A few things, like if you're buying a Tesla from someone, share this app with them. You're going to get a battery report, battery health, and a whole lot more information around not only the battery health, how much is the correct price for the car to be a very good value for like a win-win for a buyer and a seller.
Mm,
It's also going to tell you information around is the title clean. You're also going to get insights around what autopilot computer you have, which is not really easy to know. But this is like direct from the source. This is from your car, from Tesla, saying this car has the right computer for the latest full self-driving.
that's awesome.
So you'll see a share app. You'll see some other things around secure title transfers, getting an EV tax credit for used cars. I formed a partnership with a company called Key Savvy. They're one of the few or only companies that will be able to do a used EV tax credit for private party sales.
Wow, that's actually huge. If you know
Yeah,
anything about EV tax credits, like that's absolutely huge.
it's a pain. And also, if you've ever bought and sold cars on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, just anywhere, like you're dealing with loans, you're dealing with titles,
Yeah,
and this is like your second biggest purchase of your life potentially. So you want to make
absolutely.
sure that like security, like you're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah,
And so they do secure title transfers and payments. And so if you go there, it'll direct you to Key Savvy. And then there is kind of highlight that a little bit. And I formed a partnership with them. And so I got a landing page with the Teslativity logo, and like they're awesome. Like, highly
that is
recommend
so
them. And
cool.
they're legit too. They've been around. Like they're founders that have started previous companies before. Like, really, really legit company. And then if you do a loan payoff amount, they'll actually help you reduce the loan payoff. So that's like a
So
uh,
cool. So you've
small
already
bit.
got affiliate deals with like these other companies.
Yeah,
Um,
there's another one that I'm working with. You'll scroll at the bottom, this vehicle inspection. There's this company that does really advanced, they have like AI on top of the photos that you take. You have specific type of photos, and then they analyze the exterior, and it's very similar technology to if you're returning a lease. They're going to
oh,
be like, listen, you owe us money because this car's damaged. Like, they use AI to
yeah.
assess the exterior condition of a car. So I kind of put that in there. I'm tracking the number of clicks to be able to determine like how many people are actually interested with that. And so
Smart. What are you tracking the clicks with? Did you install Mixpanel?
yeah, I got mixed panel running.
Nice. No, that's so cool. And I think I talked about this like bold statement earlier, but like you have this vision of being like the Carfax of Teslas. Like anytime a Tesla exchange happens, like a Teslativity report like needs to be involved. And I think um, that's huge because the battery degradation is so specific to like the car vitals and like being able to connect to the actual car itself that like unless Carfax like really tries to like integrate the Tesla API and like go through all this hassle, I think that you have something that's really differentiated right away. And then you've already done these affiliate programs with other vendors. Have they told you that they're going to help you promote your app too? Any
Yeah,
thoughts about
and
that?
I've got like 3 more in the pipeline. So like there's a lot of things going on right now.
That's crazy. Very cool. And are you doing this like as you're building the app, or like how are
Oh
you
yeah,
approaching prioritizing that stuff?
yeah. It's like it's a small business, right? And so I support them, they support me, and like we're all better off.
Yeah. No, super, super cool. You mind if I connect my car?
Please.
Sweet. So you've connected with the Tesla API. So it says pro tip for the best experience, select all. Okay. Next.
Yeah, a few things going on here, right? Tesla is really like you're effectively granting access to someone's car. Now, I've elected to only ask for permission for the things that I need. Like, there's a
You can't
bunch
like
more.
take my car out of my garage, can
I
you?
I cannot. I can't summon your car. I can't make your car horn. I don't want to do that. I also don't want to track your location. Right? There's a bunch of apps out there that like are all about like the location tracking. Like privacy and security is first and foremost like one of the most important value drivers to everything that I've built. So I want to make sure that I'm just assessing the health of the battery. And if you want, I'm also telling you how that changes over time. And that's kind of the pro feature.
I literally just reset my password. How am I forgetting it?
Now, the Tesla connection is like really
There we
key
go.
here. Yeah. And you'll just want to select all and allow and continue.
Oh, very
Like,
cool. You have the redirect. That's impressive.
oh, look at that. You're connected. And now you will go ahead and click, you'll go to the next page. Yeah. So here you don't have vehicles, right? And so I'm connected to your account, but I still don't know what cars you own, and you might own more than one. And so there's a big loop that runs to collect, to update cars, the ones that you already have, or add new ones that aren't there. So now this is the part that I'm improving right now. There's a handful of steps here, but you'll want to walk through this 1 through 6, one by one, and that's key. So find vehicles, and then you'll want to make sure your car's awake. And it takes a minute or two because if the car's asleep, like I can't read it. And this is to preserve battery life. So your car does go asleep and it reduces the amount of range that you lose while you're not driving it.
And you must be tracking your onboarding like completion rate here, right? Because I imagine this is a very involved process.
Right.
Are you seeing any interesting data of people dropping off on this page?
I am, which is this is the next piece that I'm working on. And so I had all of this.
Are you getting a pretty significant amount of people to this page?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So you wanna get your vehicle specs, and then once you have that, you can get calculate the battery insights. The order of operations is like key here.
Please don't ruin my day and say like my car is like depreciated like 70% already.
Looks like you might not have a name for your car. Yeah, but
I actually don't think I did name it.
Yeah, so I got lookups for state, and then all right, we should be able to get the price of your car, and then this will automatically redirect you to.
Please be more than 38,000. Please be more than 38,000. Okay, nice. Insights unlocked. Let's go view your initial vehicle performance. Let's go.
This is taking you to. Let's go to vehicle.
Okay, nice. Odometer 97. Wow, I put some miles on it recently.
Yeah, so you got a clean title. You got the latest autopilot computer, the HW4, and you're like 40% depreciated.
That's wild.
Which, like from the stats that I'm seeing, it's actually not too bad. And
yeah,
then
so I had the same kind of thing happen to me though. Like I bought it for like whatever, for like 51K or 49,990, and then he dropped the price to 47,990 like literally 2 weeks after.
yeah,
So I imagined it to be like that. But honestly, yeah, like 38K, that's what I was looking for. I'll take it.
yeah, you got good range here. You got good battery capacity. Now the upsell here is to monitor that over time. Right. So what I'm working on right now is getting the total battery when it was new and calculating the degradation. So that's coming soon, and this will track it over time. Total so it looks like without your name there, I kind of have to figure out what's going on there. But the next version of the app, it reduces all of those 6-7 steps down to like it's within the flow of work and it's kind of gamified.
Oh, cool. Very nice. Yeah. When you say gamified, like, are you like adding points or like giving them a reward for finishing each one of those steps? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So, you know, if you release an app and it's perfect, you probably waited too long. So
Yeah.
it's you know, I got it to work reliably, and that was
Well,
the
you
goal.
have the hardest part done, like which is the whole integration with, the Tesla API, and you have all the data mapped here. You've had partnerships, put together. The app is very like um, easy to understand, and the information hierarchy is really solid. So yeah, like I totally agree. Like your app doesn't need to be perfect; it just needs to work. And I think now you have a really strong um, like starting point. I'm sure when you show these affiliates the app, they probably are giving you so many ideas. When you talk to other partners, they're probably going to be giving you insight from their businesses, and you're going to learn a
Yeah.
lot from them.
You know, go to the history tab. Look at the year. You're in January 2021. Let's try to find the current month and year. Okay, it should default to the current date, but it's not. So go back to September. Yeah. So over time, like I have build ships set up to run a cron job to pull in your market value every day, and then your battery metrics every hour.
Okay.
And what I'm building towards is different graphs that highlight this, and then based on your mileage, how much you're using, you basically know like how many miles are you driving per week, per month, per year. Now,
Yeah.
if anyone's driving for Uber, like you know they're racking up miles,
Right.
right? And so like you basically have an indicator of
Oh, that's
how
going to
is
be
this car
sweet.
being used, right? Was this a rental? Was this
Like I actually don't drive my car much. Like I work from home and I just drive it to the gym. And I think like, yeah, like if I were to advertise that, well, it's actually this funny joke. In the car world, there's this joke of like people listing their car on Facebook Marketplace and saying always in my garage, and then people will comment and be like, let's go ask the neighbors, right?
yeah,
And so now you can really find out how
like
somebody actually treated their car.
is this the true Sunday driver, right?
Yeah.
Like here's proof, guys. Here's proof. Like, and I'm not tracking your location, so I'm not like are you really in your garage? I'm just saying like how much miles have actually changed over time, and it gives you an indication of usage. And be like, listen, guys, like this is a daily commuter. I commute like 30 miles every day to and from work, pretty safe, like, and it's super reliable. Like, here you go. Versus 100, 200 miles. I mean, I have met people that are driving 200 miles every day. I'm like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
I hope you get paid enough. But I mean, at that point, like, it makes sense to own a Tesla. But this helps you understand
No,
generally.
there's so many different like feature benefits that come out of that, right? It's like I think
Yeah.
it's a play on how you sell this. It's a play on how you communicate it. And I think Facebook groups are going to be your best friend. I'm sure you're already like looking at Facebook groups. I think you know um, you could probably do so well like running targeted ads as well. Might be expensive, but like you could probably do some really cool ads around, you know, selling a Tesla or like buying a Tesla. Make sure you use Teslativity to keep track of it. I know on Facebook you can buy ads directly on the marketplace, and you can buy ads directly for certain like search terms. So I'm imagining a world where like as I'm like shopping for a Tesla Model Y and I keep
Yeah.
scrolling, I would see an ad that says like, use Teslativity to verify your sale.
Yeah.
Um,
The App Store optimization is kind of key right here. Like, if you're everyone that buys a Tesla has to have the Tesla app. So
right.
you're searching for Tesla, like that's a pretty hot keyword. But then there's like others.
So let's get into the nitty gritty here. So, uh, are you making money from this app? Do you have paying customers yet?
Yeah, I had my first paying customer. So like there's a handful.
Nice.
Um,
So
yeah,
how long after you launched did you get your first paying customer?
first week.
Oh wow. Was it somebody you knew, or was it an
No,
organic
no,
download?
I mean, I'm going to send him like a bouquet of flowers or something, or I don't know, maybe like unlimited charging or something. I don't know, but
Really?
uh,
You didn't know this person. It just came organically.
yeah, yeah. So I'm on all the forums. I'm pretty active there.
Hmm.
I'm working through some partnerships of some people that moderate forums. So
That's
it's very
crazy.
organic and very guerrilla marketing right now.
Yeah. One idea I have for you is value-based pricing rather than like going the freemium premium route. Like this is going to take some time and this is just an idea, easier said than done. But imagine if you could build a story of someone's car. Like if you told me, Alim, like your car is going to depreciate, another $10,000 over the next year. Like use Teslativity to keep track of um, your usage, your optimal selling point, and recover $3,000 in vehicle value. If you like juxtapose that on this screen, I could potentially pay you more. Like I would then be interested in doing like $100 annual subscription or $100 lifetime subscription, and you can make a lot more money from me up front rather
Yeah.
than $5 a month. If you told me that I could save, $3,000 in vehicle value.
I
Um,
mean, it's if you do private party sales. So not everyone, like a lot of people do trade-ins because it's easy, right?
mhm.
You're leaving thousands of dollars on the table, thousands. Um,
I think you need to make that very clear in the sales process here, because like I would pay a lot more to keep that keep that value in my car.
yeah, yeah, it's good stuff to test, right? It's you gotta start somewhere, and you
Yeah,
gotta
for
pivot
sure.
around it.
And I mean, I'm not going to say all Tesla owners are affluent, because a lot of Teslas, I've actually seen the data point come out that most Teslas purchased are stretch buys, and it's people who are who love the car so much that they're just willing to take the payment on for it. Um,
Yeah,
but there's definitely a huge group of people out there who are um, affluent and would probably want to fork that type of money for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I'm entertaining making it free for everybody for almost everything.
Oh, really? And what would that do for you?
Um, I really am on this mission to increase the adoption of electric vehicles. Like this
Hmm.
tool at its heart is to build trust in a transaction.
Yeah.
And one thing that I think the world needs more of is like people trusting each other. And I believe people are good. Most people are like really good people. And this helps you communicate that like, listen, you can trust me. Like this is a good car. I'm a good owner. You're going to be really happy if you buy this thing. Um, Now, how I monetize that, that's a problem. Like, yeah, I'm going to solve that eventually, but I'm really about like having more people be able to own EVs and be really confident in that purchase.
Yeah. So would you offer the ability to buy and sell cars on the app too eventually, or is that not part of the roadmap?
I'm working with some companies that are marketplaces. I'm not seeking to be a marketplace.
Okay.
Like Facebook Marketplace is free. There's other websites out there that are paid, but they're more targeted. So there's definitely some conversations I'm having right now for to integrate this into marketplaces where
I think that's the play. It's
you can post this into different marketplaces.
like Teslativity verified, right? And people are like, what does that mean? And then they click on the app and they can see a whole vehicle report.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's some technical challenges to
I
hurdles to
wish
jump over because there's a privacy element here, but you want to be able to share a report that hey,
right.
this car's been verified.
Yeah, so at PrizePicks, we were huge on screenshots. Like everybody screenshotted their fantasy entry at whenever they placed an entry, they would see the entry slip, they'd screenshot it and send it. So when we saw so many screenshots being shared, John, we literally spent a month like designing the perfect like screenshot share flow, and we always actually optimized every bit of the app to be screenshot friendly. So like right here, if I screenshotted this like I just did
Yeah.
and I go share this with a friend, is it easy to know that this came from Teslativity? As of right now, unfortunately not, if you see my screen. But
Hmm.
like for someone like you, like this is probably a design challenge. It's like, hey, how do I make sure that the Teslativity logo is like present anywhere there's a screenshotable piece of information?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm working towards that as well. Shareable URL. Or like, hey,
Hmm.
here's my report URL. Go view it, and you can't
So
change it.
I'll give you I know you're in the product world too, but at PrizePicks, that's the first thing we did is we actually built like a URL share system, but like it's just so easy just to hit these two buttons and screenshot that we actually found the data said that people were still screenshotting
Oh
and
yeah.
not using our share feature.
Well, that's way easier. Just like fix the UI, right? To include
It's like tough though as a developer, right? It's like, damn, even at PrizePicks, we were like, damn, but if somebody sends a screenshot, we can't append a link to the screenshot, and that we can't get that person who got the screenshot to come back and download the app. So that's definitely a challenge. So what we did, I'll give you the solution. I don't know if you can do this in Flutterflow natively. There might be a custom action that we can write. But there's something called a screenshot listener. So you can attach a listener when somebody screenshots. And then at PrizePicks, we would say, did you just screenshot this? Use this link to share it instead for a chance to get $50 if somebody signs up using your link. So you can do a listener that triggers a function whenever someone screenshots.
Oh, that's really good.
We should look into that for Flutterflow. No, that's so cool, John. You must be stoked. And I guess like this is a pretty complex app. Like I'll be honest with you, your app is probably the most, I would say, complex, one of the most complex ones that we've seen in like the B2C space. Tell me more about like how you fit this into your busy schedule. I know you have kids, a family, a full-time job. What did it look like, week to week to be building this app and balancing your home life?
Yeah, I have a really good support network at home. So I'm building this on the side. And I don't mean for this thing to take over my life. This is complementing my life, and it's also helping me in my career. So it's nights, it's weekends, it's a lot of nights right now.
Wow, super dad. It sounds like. Thank you so much, John. Anything else that you want to mention, like as far as your experience in the program? I guess we actually didn't even talk about that. How was your experience in the program? Were you skeptical at first when you first joined? Kind of what was going through your mind? Would love to hear more about what it was like 12 weeks ago.
Yeah, when you start building anything, you don't know what you're not going to know, right? There's a lot of unknowns. And there's nothing better than having like a mentor or sidekick, someone in your corner that's rooting for you. When you're stuck, they can problem solve with you. Sometimes you learn things by just speaking them out loud. And so being part of a program that had mentorship, coaching, one-on-one time, like made all the difference, right? When I'm stuck technically, I need a shoulder to lean on or someone else to like work through that problem with. And it's not that different from climbing Everest, right? No one's doing solo climbs, right? Like,
yeah,
you got your Sherpas, you got whatever, like you got your team, right? And so like being part of Ambitious Labs, like it's not always like the least expensive thing, but I think it's priced right. And like, this is your team. Like if you want to climb that mountain, like, who's got your back, who's with you, right? And it also increases the probability you're going to do it.
For sure.
Right. It's an accountability partner, a motivator. Right. And
who are you working with week to week? Who are your coaches?
Andres.
Nice.
Andres is amazing. He's like the most positive guy ever. And he's always like, thank you for being here. Thank you for this question. It's like, oh my God, Andres, let's just hang out and like have a beer or something and like problem solve. Like he's just like such a nice guy.
Yeah, no, he is awesome. We're super fortunate. And yeah, he comes to the table with positivity every day. Even I'm like, I need to get some from you, man. And then you worked with Andres. Did you work with any of the other coaches?
Kamish was great. What was it? Tugsy? Am I saying that right?
Tuche.
She's nice.
Cool.
I'm sure I'm leaving some folks out.
What were parts of the program that you got the most value from? Was it the group office hours? How did you like the course modules?
The one-on-ones.
Yeah.
The one-on-ones by far, because you have dedicated time to work through your app without feeling rushed, right? When you're in a group with 5+ builders or whatever, and you have 1 hour, like you really scratch the surface of certain problems. There's also a ramp up period. Like someone needs to know what your app is about. Someone needs to know some of the problems that you're dealing with, and like you don't have time to re-coach them on what you're trying to do.
For sure.
So like you really have to like limit. You need to cap the amount of builders are in there. Otherwise, 5 minutes isn't enough.
No, you're right.
So it's having that dedicated one-on-one time every week, like, was a game changer.
That makes perfect sense. Did you watch the course lessons? Like, how'd you feel about the overall structure of the program? How we went from validating the idea to planning, designing, building.
I think it's good. I think all of those steps are needed. The faster you move through them, like you'll learn, like I think it's necessary. It's like doing your homework.
Mm,
But once you're in the program, once you're in Flutterflow and building, like that's when the rubber hits the road, and you'll start making trade-offs left and right. I
yeah.
can't do this thing that I wanted, like so I've got to do it this way. And so like take everything that you've done and do it like good enough. Be like, listen, it's close. Like your data model, it's good enough. Like, are you gonna need 20 entities? Like, no.
No.
Like you probably don't, right? It's just more things to manage, more calls, more references. Like you don't need that.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to prioritization, like yeah, you're going to want to do all these crazy things or whatever, but you only have so much time, so you have to be ruthless in your prioritization.
Ruthless. Ruthless. Can't
Yeah.
understate that word for sure.
So like, do less, do it better, get it good enough, and like release,
Yeah.
and then figure out how you're going to iterate on that. And like that's one of the things that I'm working through right now is I have a developer, I have like dev and staging and production. Like I really have to tier it that way, which is a little bit more advanced.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we get into the basics of kind of environments, but 99% of projects that get started don't get finished. And so just by launching something that's good enough that just literally even has like authentication, login, and a very core app feature, like you're already ahead of 99% of people and you're in the top 1%. And so now I'm sure, when you're talking to these affiliates, and partners, you actually have an app that you can like share and show them, and they boom have an incredible high level of trust with you, where anybody can just email them and say, hey, I'm building an app that's going to do this and it's going to do that. And they're like, okay, cool. Great idea. Like, let us know when it's done.
Yeah.
But you have so much leverage having all this stuff done.
Yeah, the one thing that I might do earlier on is probably some of the like concept validation. Like build your app page like right away, right? And so what you're doing is you're going to test messaging, you're going to test click-through rates, you're basically testing demand before you get too far down the build road. Like I had to pivot on my value prop because I like ran into issues with what I could and couldn't sell. So that was just like a part of the journey. But I think you can even have like 3 or 4 concepts running at the same time. I mean, creating a card page is so simple,
Super
right?
simple, yeah.
Like get 4 domains, right? Create 4 landing pages. Start doing some ads. Like which ones gets the most clicks? Be like, listen, like you got signals, right? Follow those signals, follow that demand.
Yeah.
So like that's one thing we could probably incorporate into the program, or you can incorporate into the program is this like it's almost like this growth mindset element to like how are you gonna validate demand, like this validation and growth mindset where it's like you're almost like growth hacking your value prop.
Yeah. We actually might move up a module that's like submit your app for pre-order way earlier in the program, like at the 6-week mark. So you can actually, without needing to finish your whole app, even if you have the basics, like just a build and test flight, some App Store screenshots, you can build out your listing and send it for pre-order, which will start ranking you on App Store and getting you up in the charts without actually needing to launch your app fully. So that's one thing we were thinking about.
Yeah, and the only risk there is if you run into some technical limitations of like what you can and can't do. Like I ran into pricing concerns. Like my app does monitoring and tracking, like, and I originally had location tracking. I had like ping a vehicle every few seconds, which was just like explode my costs.
Right.
And so there's like a feasibility element that like that's the risk. If you don't do that, then you should be mindful around like your value prop.
That makes perfect sense, John. No, very cool. And I guess like one thing you talked about in a previous call that I want to highlight here is when you initially had this idea for an app, you said that you went and got a quote from developers. Talk to me about that experience. What was it like to, think about hiring developers to build this for you?
So not for this app, but I have hired developers in a different context.
Okay.
And I have hired developers before for previous apps.
Okay.
Like thousands upon thousands of dollars. Like, and I'm not talking about like 4 digits here. Like you're getting close to like high 5s, 6 digits in spending on developers, right? And you still have to maintain it, like even after you build it. And so like it's expensive.
For sure.
right? Like if you're going to build something that's like worth existing in the world, it's going to cost you money. And if you're semi-technical, if you're able to overcome problems, if yeah, I think being able to rely on yourself to do a number of things and then being able to augment your skill sets with others, like you're going to save a whole lot of money and you're going to de-risk the business too. So um, I think you can probably build apps for like a tenth of the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, your time's worth something there, so it's not taking that into account. But you're basically like 10x less cost by building yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you said that like you got a quote for like 60K or something. And a lot of the builders who do enroll in Dreams and Apps come from that background of like, hey, they try to hire a developer. They probably already did and got burnt. They have this piece of code that they don't know what to do with. And yeah, they just lacked the skills to take it to the next level. And they
Yeah.
honestly like didn't even know what to expect in the beginning. Like a lot of people just think, oh, you build an app, you put it in the store and you get users, you start making money. But like you just have a vehicle for exchange at that point. You literally have a storefront and you have to actually get up every day and run that store. You have to go recruit customers. You have to service those customers,
Right.
make sure that the product is working and that the lights are on, right? It's a lot more than just having a developer build you an app and printing money. There's a whole business that you have to run behind it.
Yeah, and you want to rank higher, right? And so you have to continue to release new versions,
Absolutely.
right? So you want to be responsive to support requests. You want to be communicating that like this thing actually exists, it's being maintained, it's well cared for, and it's only going to get better. And the only way you're going to do that is continue to invest in it. Now you can spend, $300 an hour, $150 an hour, right? That adds up to like thousands per week potentially,
Right.
right? And like, is your app making that much money out of the box? Like, I mean, maybe. Do you have enough investors to invest in a team? I mean, maybe, but not everybody.
Not everybody, for sure. And some people just like don't need to do that, or maybe not are not fit for it. Like, I think you're going to build a really strong business here that can do 6 figures a year, potentially 7, 8 figures a year, and you could probably do that yourself with a couple contractors, some marketing support, and a very lean team. And I think now with no code AI, automations, build ship, you literally can build like you can automate every part of your business. You can use AI for customer support. You can use build ship to automate social media.
Yeah. What did the guys from App Figures? Was it App Figures? Were saying like, or App Masters, their YouTube channel. They basically said like less than 17% of apps make 1K MR.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah,
Something like that, right? And so like if you start making significant like thousands of dollars per month, like yeah, maybe you should be hiring a team to help grow and expand or whatever. Like that makes sense, right? But
for
not for
sure.
an MVP, right? If you're just building an MVP, like you got to communicate value like early and like prove that the demand exists and only then double down, but
Absolutely.
but not out of the gate.
John, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And I remember when you first joined, I was like, this is going to be interesting to see if John pulls this one off. But you pulled it off. And that's absolutely crazy because you built an app that literally connects to Tesla and can keep track of your battery health, your depreciation. And not only is it a huge problem in the Tesla space, but you did it with no code. Did you have to write any code at all to do this? Honestly,
Like Flutterflow is amazing, right?
yeah.
Like they have like the AI built in. There's some code in BuildShip. BuildShip's a little bit more technical. I'm using a ton of custom functions, right?
Mm.
But like that's with support of AI. So you get your inputs, you get your outputs, you start understanding your data types, and like you could do it.
Do you know how to code like traditionally though?
No,
Damn, that's crazy. So you
like I know WordPress coding, and I've done like
PHP?
some Python here, some Java in like college, like way back when. So like
Dang.
I don't necessarily I can't read Dart, right?
Right.
Or like Flutter. Like I mean maybe it's like easy to read or whatever, but no, I'm not a coder by the traditional sense.
Wow, that's absolutely crazy. And your app is, like I said, probably one of the most intricate ones that we've seen. So you did it without having a knowledge of coding. You definitely wrote some code, but you used AI to do it. Your app connects to Tesla. It's on the App Store. It's fully monetized. Like,
Yeah.
I even told you, and I need to follow up. I want to introduce you to the mobile venture studio here in Atlanta. They were interested in talking to you.
Cool.
But I think like as long as you stick with this and keep iterating, cracking, 4 figures MRR, like you could have something that's worth 6 figures at the bare minimum, and I think 7 figures. Should you crack a really strong distribution channel, you get your onboarding fixed. Fixed, I mean optimized. And you finally figure out what that optimal kind of value prop paywall looks like. I think the sky's the limit here. You're building in a really sticky space, and there's not much competition.
Yeah, and when you do see competitors or whatever, you kind of embrace it, right? Like,
Yeah.
especially if your competitors are VC backed. Like VCs don't back like bad markets, right? Like that's like so.
Well, VCs. I want to mention one thing. VCs also don't know shit. Like they just buy into hype and they buy into numbers. They're not the smartest people in the world. 99% of VCs actually are wrong. The 1% of them make up for all the 99% of investments that are wrong, right? Actually, sorry, not 99% of VCs. 99% of VC investments are bad investments. The top 1% of them make up for those bad investments. So
Yeah.
just because a company's VC backed doesn't mean that you're not going to be as good. We're competing in a space right now, just to flex a little bit. We're competing with a company. I'm not going to mention the name because I don't want people going there, but they raised $10 million. And you can build your idea while going to their academy. And it's 18 months. It's like $30,000. And a lot of the people who were considering that program are coming to us instead because we specialize in building an app. And we're not like, we raised money from investors, but we're not like VC backed. So I do want to mention that there's still a lot of food out there for the smaller fish.
I did look at like other companies that do no low code type of stuff.
Yeah.
So Ambitious Labs was very much focused on mobile.
For sure.
And very much focused on like the quality of the architecture. Build ship, ambitious Flutterflow with Firebase or Supabase. Like there could be some more content in Super, but like the quality of that tech stack, that architecture makes such a big difference in when you determine to scale and build it out and to be able to support it. So like, I think you guys have a very good, unique selling proposition there, just from the fact that A, you've done it, like you've built stuff. That's an instant proof point. And 2, like you are recommending like quality solutions. Like you're not going to be in vendor lock-in.
Absolutely.
So
and that's the hardest thing to convince new builders is like, and you probably are going to crack up, but like the enrollments team talks to so many people who are like, can this app scale to millions of users? Can I,
like show me 10, show me 10, right? Like
Exactly. Like, oh goodness. Like, yes, first of all, these are all Google backed technologies. You're writing real code under the hood. These are real tools that, traditional developers had been using. And first of all, you don't need to be worrying about your first million users. We need to get you an app in the hands of 10 users and get you iterating as fast as possible. But
it's good to have big goals. It's also good to be grounded and humble.
And yeah, technology is no joke. This isn't easy. It's not for everyone, but it's a survival of the fittest.
And like to reinforce like what the Flutterflow team's saying, like this is very much like a visual coding environment. Like you're building code. You can put this into GitHub. You can operate with branches. Like if you want to go that route, like you don't have to, right? And so like this is very much like a visual representation of actual code. And you can take it away and like just build on the code. You don't have to use it. So like it's a really solid foundation for any MVP.
Speaking of Flutterflow, I'm excited to meet you in person. Like we're not that far away, 13 days from now, Flutterflow conference. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun to meet others building in the space, and I'll be sure to share my feedback with them on their tool. There's certainly more than a few improvements I would recommend just to make.
There's a lot of really dope features that are dropping. They told us last week. I'm not going to share right now, but they told us that there's some game-changing features. There's one that I specifically requested, which I'll say. Development and production environments built into Flutterflow, development, staging, and production.
Oh, that would be incredible.
Yeah. So that's when I can leak because I I was one that mentioned it. I'm sure many people were
Yeah.
talking about it. But man,
For
that's
me,
the biggest one in my eyes, because now there's so many times where I'm like disconnecting this Firebase and reconnecting this Firebase and like keeping track of these environments. So now there's just going to be one panel where you can keep track of them all.
yeah, if they could figure it out for WordPress, they could figure it out for in this.
Tell me about it. But I'm very impressed with what they're doing. They said there's a lot of other features dropping too during that conference. Cool. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, John.
Yeah. My only improvement requests are related to like reusability. Sometimes like I have a lot of data, right? And so I have a lot of forms to fill out, and it's purely just like to make me more efficient using the tool. Not the fact that I can't do it, but make me more efficient, because I don't want to spend like a long time doing something. I'd rather make it much faster, like bulk actions, stuff like that.
Totally agree. All right, John, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for everything. Please stick around in the community. I'll mark you as a senior mentor. Really look forward to having you contribute and stay involved in your next phase here as you continue to scale.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And like everything that you're doing, like you're doing like I'm not gonna get like religious on you, but like you're doing really good work. Like you're helping people realize their dreams, and so thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you, John. Really appreciate it.